Rev up your engines! Today I'm going to talk about should you buy an all-wheel drive vehicle or not. Now in an insane vehicle like this G500, there are all kinds of control for all-wheel drive, and it even has a differential lock, and it says never use on paved roads. You're only supposed to use that when you're off-road going slow. Now on top of this, it also has a low and high range. These things are very complex. The newer ones are even more electronically controlled. Do you really want one of these systems? Do you really need one of these systems? Now yes, they handle better, especially in the ice and snow. But in 1980, the first real big one for performance was the Audi Quattro on a track with snow and show. You could go 100 miles an hour in the snow in one of these. It was all-wheel drive. All the wheels are driving all the time, and it was great in the ice and snow at high speeds. But let's face it, should you really be driving 100 miles an hour in the snow? But for most people, front-wheel drive, like this old Celica, is perfectly fine. It's more efficient to pull than it is to push. Push, they fishtail a lot more. So front-wheel drive, for most people, is perfectly adequate. Plus, front-wheel drive has a big advantage. They weigh less, they get better gas mileage, and you don't have to have that giant drivetrain that can go bad going to the back, an expensive rear differential, losing power going to the rear wheels. They're more efficient. The added weight of an all-wheel drive vehicle, you're gonna get worse gas mileage because it weighs more, has to pull itself. Plus there's more friction. They're gonna have less gas mileage because of that. Realize the more spinning weight you have on a vehicle, the less efficient it's gonna be. That's why the front wheel drive, there's less friction. They're more efficient. Now the classic part-time all-wheel drive is like the old trucks when I was young. You get a Ford truck and you could have it rear-wheel drive, and you could set the lockers on the front so that it was all-wheel drive in the front, and then you'd stop and you'd set them off. That's kind of an old style. So on those you could select to go just rear-wheel drive or rear-wheel and front-wheel drive. With full-time all-wheel drive is you've always got all the wheels driven all the time. Now they can get very complex where they can change what percentage is the front drive, what percentage is the rear. That gets into really complicated electronic hydraulic systems that some of these modern cars have. But the modern all-wheel drive systems, they're all-wheel drive all the time. You can't turn it off. Now, they're only made for driving all the time. They don't have a selection like this Mercedes has where you can go into low range or high range. It's always in the high range. You can switch it low, high. You can also switch a bunch of other stuff too, but this is the more luxurious system. With a pure all-wheel drive system, its main advantage is you get better handling in the rain and the snow because it works at all different speeds. Like I say, the first real big commercial success was the Audi Quattro, where they were racing around in the snow at 100 miles an hour. It has much better handling capabilities if you live on a mountainside or where it rains all the time like Seattle. Then you can be a more aggressive driver because all four wheels are pulling it, and you won't get slippage of two are driving and two are just riding. But as I said previously, that adds to weight, lower gas mileage, and for you true aficionados, you can't do burnouts because all the wheels are driving and they don't do burnouts. The selectable all-wheel drive, the kind like you can shift on the fly. You can be going in two-wheel drive and you want to shift it to four-wheel drive, or you're in four-wheel drive and you want to shift it into two-wheel drive. You're adding weight, you're going to get worse gas mileage, the vehicles cost a lot more, and there's more maintenance involved, as I'm going to show you on this G-Wagon. More moving parts, more things to go wrong. In the case of these, you got to check the grease in them every once in a while. So you turn the wheel as far as it goes, and when you go inside here, you can see the big hub. There's a big hub. And you can see there's grease around it. It has to be greased every once in a while. Many guys forget to do this, and they have serious problems down the line. So here's how you do this particular one. You get a 14mm hex socket and you put it on the plug. It goes right on the drain plug right here. There it is. We're going to put a ratchet on it and try to loosen it. You keep turning and turning, eventually you'll get it off. And now we got to fill that hole with grease until it comes out the top. It might take a lot. You want some good multi-purpose grease and just keep pumping it till it comes out the hole. You just pump and pump and pump. And the other end, as you can see here, goes in the hole. We pump it until it comes back out the hole. Now, as you can see, I've been pumping and pumping and no grease is coming yet. We're probably gonna have to get another cartridge. Well, that one's empty, so now we gotta put another cartridge in. Takes a lot of grease in these things. This thing's probably not been checked in years. So we screw the new end in. We release the back. Push it in and start pumping more grease in. As you can see, nobody's done this in a long time. I think this thing's bone dry. But finally, grease is coming out of the hole and it's full. Hooray! Now you can put the plug back in and do the other side. There's two sides. Now to do the other side, we just start it up and turn the wheel the other way. And we do the same process. Get the ratchet, stick it on the hole, and pull like mad till it starts. Then it gets easier. You can see now it's getting a lot easier. There it is. There's the pump. Just pump it in until it comes out of the hole just like the other side. We'll see how low this one was. And as you can see, the grease is starting to come out of the hole, so this side's full. It took two. Now the customer just bought this thing, so it's new to me. The previous owners obviously did not maintain it well, which doesn't bode well for him. Let's take it for a ride and hope that it quieted it down quite a bit. We start her up and see what happens. Well, the noise has mainly gone away when we go straight, but when we turn, we can still hear it. Listen, when we turn. You can hear that little bit of ticking, and I'll take the next one a little faster because there's no pedestrians here. Get people out of the way. They're always in the way when you're road testing. Now listen. Now it's quieting down going straight. It was really bad before. But due to poor maintenance by the previous owners, these joints are now worn. Now he's going to drive it a while and see what happens. If the noise doesn't go away, then he's going to have this front rebuilt, and that's going to cost a small fortune. That's why I warn people about all-wheel drive vehicles. You have to maintain them correctly, and if you don't, they cost a fortune. Let's say this had been a normal car, like a Toyota, and you let the CV axle boot rip and the grease came out. I can buy a whole brand new axle assembly for like 59 bucks. This thing, you're talking thousands and thousands of thousands. You're gonna get an all-wheel drive vehicle, you wanna make sure you maintain it. And also realize if you're buying a modern, full-time all-wheel drive vehicle, when the tires wear, you have to replace all four of them at once. If you don't, and they're not all exactly the same, it will mess with the differentials trying to make all the wheels spin at the same speed. Can even ruin your transmission. They're more expensive. If you don't want the expense, don't buy all-wheel drive. Do like I do when I go to Lake Tahoe in the winter. Rent one. I don't need them here in Houston, but I sure need them there. Last time I went there, they had 300-something inches of snow in a month. So now you know a little bit more about the truth behind all-wheel drive vehicles, so you can make a wise decision whether you're gonna buy one or not. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Surely you know better, says I got a 2011 GMC Sierra V8. My transmission had a leak. I got it fixed, but now it clunks and has a bunch of codes like P0796 and P0842. It's really undrivable. I can tell you it's probably happened because I've seen it a million times in those. You had a leak and you got it fixed. Probably you drove it too long with it low on fluid. Damages the inside of the transmission. I had a customer with the same exact vehicle, and it turns out one of the transmission cooler lines was leaking. And by the time they got it to me, and now the thing holds like, I don't know, 13 quarts of transmission fluid. There's like 2 left in it. I fixed the leak, fill it up with fluid, clunk like mad, and didn't shift where it beans. I told him, I said, the transmission's ruined. When it's ruined like that, because there was no fluid, there's so much damage. I said, if I were you, I wouldn't even rebuild it. I would just buy a remanufactured unit. So that's what they did. I sent them to the tranny shop that I use, and they got him a nice remanufactured one, and it worked perfectly fine then. Because when it's that far gone, it's not worth rebuilding yourself or having a mechanic do it because there's too much internal damage. Same thing with your engine. If you run an engine without coolant and it overheats, there's so much damage done that really don't try to fix that engine. A rebuilt engine. Give them the old one back that they can attempt to rebuild or use some of the parts for it. A lot of times, even when you do that, then they will charge you a core charge, because when you send them your old engine, they'll look at it and say, no, the core is no good, it's completely destroyed, so then you got to pay the core charge too. But that's why you wouldn't want to fix a transmission that ran out of fluid. There's probably so much damage inside it that it wouldn't be worth fixing. Just get a remanufactured unit and stick it in. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.